NASCAR Senior Vice President of Competition Elton Sawyer has addressed NASCAR's decision to call the race early for the Coca-Cola 600, saying it was NASCAR's decision and it just got too late in the night for them to continue to race based on a number of factors. Before we get into this, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at John Trent Racing. So, just to give you a quick recap, rain and lightning moved into the area over the racetrack at Charlotte. They went into a significant rain delay, but by 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday night, they posted this to their X account on social media. Even before they made the announcement on television, it was like right before, but they said this: due to inclement weather, high humidity, and the likelihood of resuming action after 1 a.m. with the track drying process, the race has been declared official. Christopher Bell is the winner of the 65th Coca-Cola 600. Nearly all fans were upset at this decision, wanted them to continue to race, and many fans thought that NASCAR did not even try to dry the track. There were a number of images popping up showing that the track appeared to be drying properly, despite NASCAR's claim here of issues with the track drying process. There might have been some weepers in some area of the track, which is basically water that is sitting under the track and is kind of coming up onto the track constantly, preventing the track from being completely dry. But this is what Elton Sawyer had to say. He appeared on NASCAR Sirius XM, NASCAR Radio Channel 90, and he was asked about the decision to call the race at 11:30 p.m. Let's take a listen.
The Coca-Cola 600 on Sunday, and obviously, rain shortened there, and Christopher Bell getting the win. But all in all, a great weekend. Wish we could have finished the 600 on Saturday night or Sunday night. Just Mother Nature played havoc with racing all over the country this past weekend, and we had to deal with it Sunday night. Unfortunately, did everything we could. When we had the rain shower there, and on their 9:30 quarter to 10, a lot of water fell in a short period of time. So we knew at that point that it was going to be a challenge. We were up for it. We attempted to get the track dry. It just wasn't going to come in, and as all that started unfolding and looking at the timelines and the amount of racing we needed to have to complete the race, 151 laps. We were looking at, well past 2 a.m., which just didn't feel right for our competitors, our fans alike, and all the workers that had been there all day. So unfortunate, hated to have to, get to that point, but that's where we landed.
So obviously, he's just kind of reiterating what they posted on X. That it was getting too late in the night. They were unable to dry the track in a timely fashion, and people had been at the track too long, specifically the workers and potentially the fans there, as well as what he's saying. But let's continue listening to hear what else he had to say when he's kind of pressed on the issue a little bit further here.
When you're looking at the track drying situation, it seemed unique to me that there obviously you guys made the effort to try to dry the track. Have you experienced something like that before, where it just for whatever reason that the track is not drying as quickly as you think it's going to?
Well, Joe, makes a great question. That we say this all the time, and this is the truth. Every situation is different. It can, depending on a lot of the weather conditions, obviously after it stopped raining, the humidity and things of that nature. When you start putting all that into place, the things that we have full control over is obviously we have our air tundras, we have all the drying equipment there, and once it stopped and we could start the process, and then communicating with our folks on the ground who have great experience and have done this for many years, they get a feel pretty quick of where we're at. But we wanted to make a run at it. We knew it was going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we for sure wanted to give every effort we could because we had, again, our fans deserve that. A lot went on Sunday, and with the Larson, back and forth, and to be able to see him in the car Sunday night, that would have been great. It just unfortunately didn't work out that way.
And as far as the 2 a.m. cutoff that we were just describing, that obviously we had some fans wanted to go all night. But is this something, and what guided you is something that you've dealt with in the past, that we as a sport have dealt with in the past, as far as the point of no return, or at some point these races have to end, and it was in the wee hours of Monday morning that was too much?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. I think if you just look, you take experience from the past, right, and you learn from that. And these decisions are done. Ultimately, it's our decision. It's the NASCAR decision. But we do work closely with our folks at the Speedway. We work closely with our TV partners to get to the right decision. And if you look at, how that day unfolds, and there's a lot of people, workers, behind the scenes that are there early in the morning to get the facility ready, local law enforcement officers that are directing traffic and things of that nature. And then, it's a great event. People are having a great time. So trying to, take all of that in consideration, but ultimately try to get to the end of the race. But when you start to get in that timeline and you get to, again, in that 1:30, 2 o'clock range, and then by the time you drop the checkered flag, and these are all based off, all based off us having a clean race to the end. You get a multiple caution flags, and then you could have been 2:30 or 3 o'clock. So you have to take all that in consideration. Again, again, not a decision we wanted to make, but one we had to make at that point in time.
So there you go. That is what he had to say about why NASCAR chose to call the race at 11:30 p.m. It looks like the main factor was the time of night. They didn't want to go into the wee hours of Monday morning, whether that was because they didn't want to sit there and wait for the track to dry, whether that was because law enforcement was going to have to get paid extra money, whether or not they're going to have to keep paying the track workers, and then the fact that obviously you've got all the fans and everything there as well. So that seems to be the main factor, was the time of night, which for me, that begs the question, well, why didn't they just have a postponement of the race until Monday during the day? We stop here and then continue the race on Monday. You get the track dry. You get another shift of law enforcement. You can send your workers home. They can get a good night's rest. They can come back and you make even more money selling more beer, selling more concessions, selling more T-shirts, selling all the things that you're getting, and we get to finish the race. We get Kyle Larson there. He's able to suit up and race, and you get a really good kind of maybe storyline as well. Potentially even maybe a redemption story if Kyle Larson is able to win the race. How great of a story would that have been? You get Kyle Larson, he comes in, he's ready to go. They have a rain delay. You postpone it to Monday. He made a mistake. He's clearly down on himself. But then he goes out and he wins the race. I mean, that's a great, awesome storyline that NASCAR could have had. Instead, they call it early. They basically piss everyone off. It seems like they didn't even factor in the possibility of postponing, because in fact, I asked NASCAR reporter Matt Weaver for Sportsnaut, who covered Elton Sawyer's comments here on the website. I asked him, what about possibly postponing the conclusion until Monday? And he says that was never an option because it was an official race. Now, I don't know exactly what the NASCAR rulebook says on this, and maybe it's pretty clear, but NASCAR seems to play fast and loose with their own rulebook, and a lot of times the rulebook is written for them to openly interpret it. So my assumption is, well, NASCAR could probably do whatever they want. If they wanted to postpone the race till Monday, they could have, whether or not it had gone over halfway or not. And I think that probably would have been the best decision. What is interesting is we see a lot of people here do not agree with what Elton Sawyer was saying. And these are people that said they were actually at the track Like we've got this one here, Brian Scott. He said, I was there and watched what they were doing with my own eyes. It was a slap in the face for every fan in attendance, just how little they tried. So he is making it, he's saying that they didn't even try to get the track dried. They were not even attempting to race into the early hours of Monday morning. It was all kind of just a delay tactic to maybe milk their own fans with the concessions, etc. And then obviously, if you weren't at the track, with television commercials and kind of watching the rain delay coverage. We also have this one here. James Wagner kind of reiterates what Brian Scott says. I would have believed this if they tried everything in their power and they simply did not. That's the lie. And that's a slap in the face to the faces of people that spends tons of money to support your series, drivers, tracks, and TV partners. Shaking my head. And then here, Mike Barbone says, sorry, we don't like being lied to. Nobody's buying it. Everyone who stayed saw exactly what they did. I've waited out dozens of rainouts and delays in the grandstands in my life. This was different. It's a shame. So clearly people who are there at the track disagree with what Elton Sawyer is saying that NASCAR did not try to get the track dried and they decided to cancel it and call it rather than actually trying to get the track dry. You have this here. Doug Ivey says lies he tells. I don't care if he was in the 90s. I want this clown to retire. John Yuntz for fan says he's just pissing in our faces and saying it's raw raining. Austin Sosa, slap in the face. Matt Carter, he's full of it. They were never going to start it back, and they had no plans to. They knew they made it look like they made an attempt to go back racing. The fans would be better with that than just calling it earlier. It was all for show. So obviously a lot of people not buying what Elton Sawyer is selling. And again, I think they should have just postponed the race Monday. And I think that solves all your problems. And everyone is peachy keen. And we're talking about the race rather than NASCAR making a ridiculous decision and getting lampooned by its own fans, which seems to happen over and over and over again. If there's one thing that NASCAR is consistent about, it's about being inconsistent. But let me know what you guys make of this. Let me know in the comments below.